A protest for animals, WOW Channel's change, and Prop 1. Hello everyone and welcome to Shelby This Week. All those top stories and more, but first. Activists gathered recently protesting against what they think is animal cruelty. Charlie Cadotto reports on what's really going on.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
Protesters outside the Humane Society of Macomb accused the shelter for euthanizing a high rate of animals and for what they say are poor conditions inside. They're upset over the shelter's 60% kill rate, which they say could be reduced if they allowed rescue groups in.
We want either a new director for this place or we want this place shut down so that this suffering does not continue.
She has to go. They have to find somebody that has morals and cares about animals. Somebody that runs a humane society should not be killing like that.
They're talking about Shirley Burgess, the director of the Humane Society of Macomb. She's been with the shelter for 46 years, and she says there's a reason for the high kill rate.
Well, unfortunately, we do have a lot of animals that have been put down in the past. We are trying to improve on that. We've had different programs established in the last 3 years that our count is going up as far as more adoptions. The problem that we have is there are a lot of stray cats that come in, and this brings our count up, which makes it, these animals are cats that we can't handle and no one wants.
82% of cats that enter the shelter are euthanized, according to Burgess. She took us on a tour of the facility, which she says is always clean. But protesters call it a cover-up. They say water and blankets are usually gone. And they always have the blankets in the water?
They do, yes. Now they do, yes.
Well, before they didn't?
Well, the older dogs did, like this here, but some of these guys chew them up, so we have to watch them all the time.
Macomb County Animal Control Director Jeff Randazzo says something can get done. He's working with the Humane Society of Macomb to make some changes.
So I do believe that change is going to happen. I truly do. Whether it's Shirley and the staff will be there, that remains to be seen. I hope so, If not, then change is going to take place.
Yes, we know changes have to be made. Yes, we know we need to improve on not putting so many animals down. But again, this is where the rescues would come in if we can get them, if they're not full.
But the controversy doesn't end here. Meet Buddy. We found Buddy outside in a cage. Protesters accuse Burgess of hiding Buddy and purposely not putting him up for adoption. But she says it's a different story.
He was adopted out, as they were told. The people brought it back 2 days later because it was too much for them to handle, and because we've had problems with what's going on out there. We have had it in a different area, not in hiding. First of all, if I was going to put it down, which I've already been accused of doing, I would have done a long time ago if there was a reason for it. But the proof is right there. I did not euthanize that animal, and I don't intend to because it's a healthy animal.
Protesters are worried that he may get euthanized. A former employee says it was common for that to happen.
I've seen animals, piles this high on the ground in front of the incinerator of animals when I come in the morning that they have killed, and then they throw them in an incinerator, they burn them up, and there's a pile in the back of the facility where they just dump all the ashes in the back half of the property.
But what makes the Humane Society euthanize an animal?
We have to try to socialize it to see if we can get it so it'd be friendly with everybody. You can see how it reacts with strangers right now.
Burgess says it all depends on the circumstance.
If they are aggressive or if they are ill for reasons, and the doctor would say it would not have a good quality of life and then they'd be put down.
Randazzo says aggressive animals can be put through behavioral training and then given to rescue groups or put up for adoption. He says it takes collaboration.
The first big step is really to have a meeting with the rescue groups, see where they can help and how we can bridge that gap, and then the volunteers, and then you want to bridge that gap, and then as long as everybody has these open minds and willing to work together, I think they could be in a good place.
Right now, our program is not set up that the rescues can come in and take the animals, but we're looking to especially work with cat rescues because we have such a surplus of cats.
Some protesters are upset that animal control doesn't do more. But Randazzo says he simply doesn't have the authority.
The Michigan Department of Agriculture, they regulate and kind of dictate how shelters are operated. So we don't police them as far as how they manage the shelter. We will investigate every animal cruelty or animal welfare complaint.
Back to the shelter, protesters say they'll be out here every weekend until something gets done. For Shelby This Week, I'm Charlie Cadotto.
All right, Charlie, every Saturday they'll be out there. Shelby residents, Shelby TV's channels have changed for WOW customers. If you have an older analog TV without a WOW set-top box or digital adapter, you'll need to order a digital adapter to receive WOW programming. Residents with newer TVs with built-in digital tuners don't need digital adapters. However, if you have WOW cable plugged directly into a digital TV with no set-top box or adapter, the new channels for Shelby TV are 117-10 and 117-18. WOW sent out information stating channels wouldn't change, but they have. Shelby TV is working with WOW to fix this matter for residents. Call WOW at 1-866-876-8919 to order an adapter for $2 a month. Proposition 1, voting day is creeping up on us voters. May 5th, Michigan residents will be asked to vote on a special ballot proposal to fund the repair of our roads and bridges across the state. There's a lot of money at stake here. Let's see where the money would go. There's a $1.8 billion tax increase with no sunset date. $1.3 would go to roads. Public education would get $300 million. Local government, $94 million a year. Rail transit, $112 million, and the earned income tax credit, $260 million. State Senator Jack Brandenburg tells us what he thinks of Prop 1.
If you're going to have a ballot proposal to change our state's constitution to fund road repair, then let's fund road repair. Let's not have funding for education, local units of government, rapid transit, and whatnot, all on the same ballot. It's not fair to the taxpayers.
If voters approve Prop 1, the average tax hike per household would be $545 per household or $45 extra a month. Senator Brandenburg also believes if voters don't understand this proposal, they'll just vote no. Coming up, a rare drug in Shelby becoming more common and a canine retires. Stay tuned.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
A scary outbreak that Shelby's finest are trying to get control of. Nick Buckler explains this drug subject. Nick?
That's right, Megan. Everybody knows that drugs are becoming a problem in most communities, from painkillers to marijuana. But heroin, here in Shelby Township? The Shelby Township Police have been dealing with a high number of heroin overdose calls in the recent months.
Problems everywhere, especially in southeast Michigan. We're not seeing the problems with the methamphetamine, but definitely the heroin. The heroin's a cheap drug, and usually it's people who start on opiates such as painkillers, and it progresses. Those drugs are expensive, and when they can no longer, they're taking so many of them, they just can't simply afford it, so they're turning to the heroin.
Heroin is a highly addictive drug. Even if it's taken one time, it can ruin your life.
It's about education and trying to get these people the help they need, recovery. But with the heroin, it has such a grasp on them. It's a horrible, terrible drug that after interviewing several of these people who are addicted to it, they just simply can't get away from it. They can be off the drug for an extended amount of time, but one bad day, they go back to it.
Now that we know heroin is in our community, just how bad is it?
Unfortunately, people are dying. Since the first of the year, there has been a major problem with the fentanyl-laced heroin. What they're doing is they're mixing the heroin with other substances, fentanyl, which is it's a drug that puts you out when during your surgeries, and it's a massive painkiller. And what it's doing is the mix, you just never know. There's no quality control in the drug world, so you never know what you're getting. And we've had several overdoses. We're getting them at least once or twice a week. And sometimes the Narcan's able to bring them back if we can get there in time. Other times they're expiring.
Heroin addicts would consider themselves lucky to be sitting where I'm sitting right now, as heroin is becoming the deadliest drug in Shelby Township. For Shelby This Week, I'm Nick Buckler.
In jail or dead. All right, Nick, thanks for that report. After 9 distinguished years, an officer who's worked like a dog for Shelby Township retired. Stacy Sansatera gives us the story.
Come on, Henry. Come on. Come on, let's go. Come here. Heel. Heel. Come on. Hey, what I got? Henry.
Most police stories involve a bad guy. Not so with this one. Henry, the Shelby Township Police Department's 10-and-a-half-year-old German Shepherd, has officially worked his last shift.
You want to retire? You want to retire? Hey, you want to retire? No? You want to work? You want to go to work? Out. Loud. That's a good boy.
Officer Kevin Triorgi became Henry's handler when he was 1 year old.
Actually, I was single at the time, and I was living in a large apartment, and I was chosen to get the dog. The master trainer from Sterling Heights went and chose Henry. He was imported from overseas, and when they did choose him, and they chose me as a handler, he brought him over to my house and basically said, "Here's your dog."
And this dog became so much more.
Henry and I sat there and stared at each other for about 2 hours because I wasn't sure what he was going to do. I'm sure he wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was afraid to move, didn't want him to bite me. So it was kind of a staring contest for 2 hours. And then for the first couple weeks, he was getting used to me. I had to keep him like on a 30-foot leash when we went outside because if he ran off, I wasn't sure if he'd come back because he didn't listen to me, wasn't used to me, didn't know that I was his handler yet. And then after the 2 weeks of basically hanging out with him, getting to know him, not getting bit by him, we went to a 5-week course at Macomb Community College to learn how to use him as a police dog.
Use him they did, as Henry has gone on more than 100 raids, sniffed out the tracks of countless criminals, and helped fight crime right here in Shelby Township.
A few things that really stand out is one time we had a narcotics deal, and the guy threw the bag of narcotics into a drainage ditch that had the big grate across it, a little bit of water. It floated underneath, went about 100 feet underground. We couldn't physically go in and get it, but we could see it. I gave him the command. Henry went all the way in there, grabbed it, and brought it back out in his mouth and gave it to us. We had an armed robbery not too long ago, and the person fled into Rochester Hills, went into an apartment. We got the door open, and instead of officers going in, I put him at the door, gave him commands, said that we're going to send the dog in, made him bark. Everybody in the place freaked out, and they all came out with their hands up so they don't get bit by a dog. So there's a lot of stuff that a dog does that an officer can't do.
And together, this crime-fighting duo have set off to protect the residents of Shelby Township.
9.5 years of bringing him to work every single day, bringing him to work on my overtime shifts, taking him to court and leaving him out in the car when I go into court. It's going to be different, and it's going to be different for him. Every day when I get a uniform on, he starts to whine, he starts to spin, he starts to bark at me like it's time to go to work. He's basically the equivalent of like a 50-year-old guy trying to play in a young man's game, where he'll do it, but that night he pays the price. He moves slow, he gets up slow, he doesn't want to get up when he lays down, because it's like a macho thing. He doesn't want to be left behind. He wants to go and work. And I mean, he's getting to the point though where he doesn't realize he can't do it anymore.
And in addition to all his hard work, Henry has become quite popular in the community.
People love it. I'll pull in a 7-Eleven, they're like, "Oh, there's a dog in the car," and sure, and I'll open the door and let him pet him. I'll get him out, take him into some of the stores. People love it. People love having the dog around. They know that he's here to help the department, and they think it's great that we have a dog here.
And how does the man that knows Henry best think he will transition into retirement?
He's not like us that works towards a retirement and wants to move to Florida and collect your check and sit on the beach. He has no concept of that. He just has concept of working home. And I think it's going to take him a long time to realize he's not coming to work anymore, because he's going to see me getting dressed every day.
And as Henry is officially released from his duties with the Shelby Township Police Department, it's important to note that it won't keep Henry from his closest colleague, as he will live out his golden years with Officer Triorgi and his family. From all of us at Shelby TV, kudos on a job well done by man's best friend. For Shelby This Week, I'm Stacy Sansatera.
Come on.
I wonder if Henry will be playing golf in his retirement. A family accused of selling drugs out of Shelby businesses will face trial next month. Two brothers, David and Dabish, face a May 19th joint trial date at Macomb County Circuit Court for alleged sales of a drug called K2 Spice and synthetic marijuana from a gas station and Woodstock tobacco store on Van Dyke, just north of 21 Mile Road. Shelby police held a drug bust back in October 2012 where the two brothers and 4 family members were arrested for allegedly selling synthetic marijuana. Shelby took action, banning the K2 drug that causes long-term side effects and even death. The Dabish brothers are charged with possession, delivery, or manufacture of a non-narcotic drug. A terrible car accident took the life of one man in Shelby recently. It happened April 15th around 12:50 p.m. when Shelby police came upon a car crash on Shaner just south of 22 Mile Road. A 54-year-old man from Clarkston was driving the car, allegedly drove off the road and struck a utility pole. Fire and EMS arrived on scene and transported the man to the hospital. No other cars were involved in the crash. The man was pronounced dead. It's unknown if alcohol was a factor in this accident. If you saw or know anything about this accident, please call the police department at 586-731-2121. Utica High School should be proud. Members of the high school's Arrow newspaper and Warrior yearbook staff attended the Columbia's Scholastic Press Convention. They took classes from Ivy League professors. Students and teachers traveled to Columbia University last month, where they learned about journalism, photography, design, internet, and social media. And the best part, the Arrow newspaper was recognized as one of the top 31 high school newspapers in the country. They received the Silver Crown Award, a big honor for the students. Congrats on all your hard work. Pictured in the photo, Chelsea Edwards, Joe Imbrone, Caitlin Tremper, Shelby Dajic, Chelsea Koger, Edmund Sullivan from Columbia, Annabelle Aquino, teacher Stacy Smale, Julia Vasquez, and Ben Byrne. Teachers and technology. Seems like the two go together quite well. One Eisenhower High School math teacher recently was chosen to be part of a new technology program for PBS programming. Trapper Hallam from Utica Community Schools is among 100 teachers nationwide picked for this PBS Learning Media Digital program. Hallam will learn virtual training, attend special events at PBS, and have access to PBS Learning Media Services. Congrats to Trapper. In health news, April is National Health Month. Of course, health is your #1 priority. John Martin explains more on this topic.
In honor of National Public Health Week, Macomb County's Health Department, along with Nino Salvaggio International Marketplace, is holding Eat Well, Be Well, a program designed to teach people how to prepare healthy recipes. County Executive Mark Hackle helped to prepare healthy and delicious recipes that even the pickiest eater would enjoy.
Low-fat yogurt.
First up was the Smoothie Station.
Right, it's like a Slurpee, but better for
Almost
you.
like an ice cream Slurpee.
It's a better for you Slurpee.
Sure. Good breakfast drink.
Excellent breakfast.
Now that's good.
Macomb County Health Department joins many health departments throughout the country to promote good nutrition, good health, and by living healthy lifestyles, we can prevent chronic disease, and that's really the focus of what we're doing in Public Health Week. And so today we're here at Nino's Salvaggio to promote good nutrition through smoothies and other good recipes that are being prepared by staff so that residents understand it's good quality nutrition is important in your health and to prevent chronic disease.
Next, stir fry.
Choice, as opposed to a cookie or a snack. Try that. Well, tell us what you think. Good choice? You'd rather not?
Chicken.
Would you like a cookie?
What did you think of some of the healthy food?
Well, most of it is pretty healthy, and I think that's a lot better, especially if you want to stay fit. So it's a lot better than cookies and all that other junk.
How'd you like the smoothies?
Smoothies are great. I think the best part of it was the strawberry part.
I know you like Slurpees, but I noticed you enjoyed the smoothie here you were making, and that's a very healthy drink, obviously.
Yeah, I made that transition as a kid. I was a kid, I grew up on Slurpees. I loved Slurpees, but the reality was once I got into wrestling back in school, it became one of those things where you had to be very cautious of what you ate and how you ate. Started thinking about, healthier choices, and smoothies have always been a good choice of mine. And now, I'll eat Slurpees once in a while, but smoothies I do eat quite often. So again, it's a very healthy choice, a lot different than some of these kids that are eating some of the sugary, or drinking some of the sugary drinks, and kind of staying in tune with what's better for you. Sometimes I think parents have a harder time because they think it's quick, it's easy, give them something that's, sugary, as opposed to grabbing a blender and making something. Well, yeah, it takes a little bit more effort, no question about it, but with that effort comes a tremendous opportunity to lead a healthier lifestyle.
For more healthy eating tips, go to health.macomb.gov.org. For Shelby This Week, this has been John Martin reporting.
Health is always top priority. There's more than 100 wineries right here in Michigan, but wine drinkers in Shelby, you won't even have to leave the township to enjoy wine tasting. On May 31st at the Packard Proving Grounds in Shelby, you can attend this thumbs-up self-guided wine tour. Tickets are $15, which provides food, wine, and entertainment. Some of the local wineries participating: Blake's Cider House, Dizzy Daisy from Bad Axe, Filippo Winery in Clinton Township, Fieldstone Winery in Rochester, Village Winery in Romeo, and Westview Orchards in Washington Township. Ticket proceeds from the event go to local charities. On a recent trip that meandered through the mountains of Kentucky, an unexpected stop along the Kentucky River led to a surprising discovery that holds historic connections to not only Detroit, but also Shelby Township. Resident Shelby TV historian Arthur Schink has more.
Recently, I got the privilege to experience my family's first multi-state road trip vacation. Surprisingly, an unplanned stop at a state park in Kentucky turned out to be one of my favorite events, in a trip that included a visit to Legoland, 87-degree weather in Clearwater Beach, and more tourist traps than you can shake a gator's tail at. A couple of miles off Interstate 75 is Fort Boonsboro State Park. If you are an American history buff like myself, or grew up in the late 60s watching Fess Parker's role after his role of Davy Crockett, you might have thought of Daniel Boone. Unknown at the time I walked the banks of the Kentucky River, it was here that Boone established Boone's Station in 1775. With Kentucky being in the thick of Indian territory, it was one of the first English-speaking communities west of the Appalachian Mountains. That, of course, led to the Siege of Boonsboro in 1778, where Shawnee leader Blackfish and roughly 440 warriors, including 12 French-Canadian militia members out of Detroit, surrounded the small fort and its roughly 135 settlers. For a week and a half, 30 to 40 riflemen inside Boonsboro defended the fort from fire, multiple attacks, and even a tunneling attempt to get into the fort by the Shawnee. The siege cost 37 Shawnee their lives and 2 inhabitants of Boonsboro. But it became a turning point to the loss of rapid abandonment of white settlements in Kentucky. Imagining the legendary Daniel Boone fighting here at the site brought to mind the sacrifices so many have endured to help create this great country. But what surprised me most when looking down at the names of those who defended the fort was a name that we here in the Detroit area, and especially here in the township, should know well: Isaac Shelby, namesake of our great township, and whose heroism and leadership would greatly help American causes in both the Revolutionary War and the War of 1812. During the Revolution, Isaac Shelby would eventually help raise and lead a cavalry of militia with John Seaver to pursue and attack Major Patrick Ferguson and his troops of Loyalists at Kings Mountain, Carolina. It was here that Ferguson stated, "God Almighty and all the rebels of hell could not move him from this mountain." Well, he was kind of correct, because Shelby and the boys left him there, where his grave marker still stands today. Later, Isaac Shelby became the first governor of the state of Kentucky and retired back to his estate, the Traveler's Rest. but he was called back to lead Kentucky again, serving as their 4th governor during the outbreak of the War of 1812. At the age of 63, the governor amassed a militia and rode along at the request of General William Henry Harrison to liberate Detroit. Chasing the British out of Detroit and into Canada, where in Moraviantown, in the Battle of the Thames River, the Indian Confederacy leader Tecumseh was killed. The American victory basically ended hostilities in the western United States and solidified Michigan as an American territory. If you are a fan of history and you get a chance to stop by Fort Boonsboro on your way to or through the Bluegrass State, I would suggest it. And if you're not a history buff, maybe take a second every now and then and think of Shelby Township's namesake, Isaac Shelby, something those who plotted the township back in 1818 did. For Isaac Shelby This Week, I'm Arthur Schenck.
From concept to total vehicle, a new mode of transportation is being built right here in Metro Detroit. 2 wheels in the front, 1 in the back. A new scooter built by Berryline and marketed by Oakland University students. It has a range of about 160 miles with a hybrid gas engine parallel system. Top speed, 50 miles an hour.
OU started with us probably been 2 years ago that they started working with us on a marketing plan. This is pretty much drives like a car. It's set up so you can plug in your phone, has a stereo system on it, has a detachable trunk. The battery's in the floor. I can actually show you if you want to see how it comes out, but you can actually take the battery out and plug it into your 120 outlet in your house or apartment.
Only $6,500. Base model, $5,900. There's storage in the back and the battery easily removable from the base. Dennis and his team are hoping to start selling next year.
Our intent is to build this in the Detroit area. We want this to be a Detroit-built vehicle, even though we're going to do a lot of global sourcing on it. But a lot of the tooling, the front end suspension, and everything else will be done pretty much in the Oakland County, Detroit area. So we've been very happy with the progress and very happy with it. People seem to like it so far, so we're very encouraged. The biggest target is going to be the retirement communities, because what we noticed that there was a void for this kind of a vehicle. A lot of those are one car and a golf cart, golfing type communities. It seemed to leave a void for something to go outside of that. So with this particular vehicle that has a top end speed of 50 miles an hour and a range of 160, it gives them an opportunity for those people that don't golf, that want to go anywhere else, just to enjoy the day, go to the beach, go fishing, or whatever they want to do.
There's an 8-hour charge for the electric mode. It goes about 20 miles at about 20 miles per hour. Metro Detroit is the best place to build this scooter.
To be honest with you, if you're going to do a project like this, you have to do it here. I mean, we've been part of this whole Detroit activity for years and years, and when you're looking at suspensions and center of gravity and engineering design capability and all the things that are required to do a vehicle, you have everybody right here.
Berryline can find tooling workers, brake workers, engineers, paint and dye workers, everything you need right here. Yes, right here in Metro Detroit, and that scooter was so quiet and street legal. I want one. And we're going to end this newscast with K-9 retiring Shelby Township Police Officer Henry. He stopped by Shelby TV station, and we're going to end with scenes from him visiting us here. Have a great day.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then.
Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and think about sunny weather.